Seems like the low hanging fruit for us.
Ms. Bud?
Chris, how long does it take to compile a submission for project? So looks like we may have identified a project, but I'd still like to see.
Yeah.
All right, here's the project. Here's how much money we think we could get. Still need to clear that other issue of interfering with other entities who might see us as going rogue here. So let's just say we came back to you, give you the next meeting, or we had a special meeting and said, we're going to go with this one. How long to put the proposal together?
Well,
In other words, is there a likelihood that we could still meet your deadline, the deadline for submission for that?
not my deadline. It's
The deadline that you presented to us.
We've been getting, the deadline. Honestly, I can move as fast as we can get information. So it's really, for Claire and Scott, I sent them examples. Each of those on that first page, each of those successful budget projects from last year, I sent them the forms that they submitted, both in the House and the Senate, so they have an idea of what kind of information is asked. I won't put words in their mouth, but I don't think it's all that complicated if you already have sort of a project that you contemplate.
So it's a form and you fill out the form.
It's literally a PDF fillable form. And there's a House form and a Senate form. I would say they're 95% identical, 5% differ. So when you do one, you've got 95% of the other one done.
If I may, the bigger part of that would be the gaining the support. I mean, we would not move forward if we didn't feel that our local representatives, our senators and our Right.
Elected officials that Tallahassee would not be in support of that. So that would be our recommendation is we have some data from our strategic plan that we can quickly put together, but relatively efficiently. But that other aspect of it is one that we would highlight as part of the process. We want to make sure that Peggy Gossett Seidman and our two senators that this is something that they would support.
And
Mr. Now, you have a question?
Yeah, well, this discussion kind of is heading back toward, an ad hoc project by project basis rather than an overall, what it seems like to me, but the question I had where I'm having a little trouble is appropriation versus getting the approval from the Florida Department of Transportation for the grants or the I guess the FAA grants, federal grants, which we've always been successful at, and which, has been a big part of why I've given high marks to Clara, our executive director. And we've always had that ability to do that, but is that limited to dollar amounts versus doing appropriations? I mean, what's the difference? Why wouldn't we just put in a grant like we always do for
So if I can
stormwater?
tag on
Sure.
to that, what I'm looking to hear is how would we handle this if we didn't have outside counsel? I'm with you, that my head went right to that. You've done so well at this as your position with your support team. And we maybe had issues that you haven't really, run into or explained, but somehow you're getting it done. How is this adding value to what you're already doing?
Yeah, it's twofold. One is a matter of eligibility, the primary issue. So that part of our budget presentation here includes construction of certain stormwater improvements on the air side. Those are federally eligible and state eligible projects because of their location with the airfield, and we're also utilizing the wildlife management aspect of as well, of undergrounding because we have birds that wade. So the land side they're certainly not eligible for federal funding. They don't fund anything outside of the airfield. The state funding is also somewhat questionable whether the state would participate in that. They're more likely to participate if we have, for example, a deal with one of our tenants that says, from an economic development standpoint, if we can get this project done, we will be able to generate X amount of revenue. They might be able to participate in that on a 50-50 basis. So it's an eligibility issue. There's also a timing issue. So if we identify a new project today that we would like to add into our capital improvement program with the state or federal agency, it's actually 6 years from now because the 5-year cycle is set. So every January, we meet with the state and with the federal government and FAA and set new projects, but that's for 5 years, 6 years down the road. So any new projects have to wait till then. So if there was a project that we wanted to accelerate, whether it's in our CIP or not, we wanted to accelerate, we could potentially go through this mechanism. Or if we wanted to go through the traditional methods, if it's eligible for funding, first of all, and we want to go to the traditional route, which we are thankfully have a great DOT, great District 4, then it's you have to put it in for 6 years. So our next cycle starts in January 2024. So then this project would be added in for 2030.
Yes, sir.
Like Jim pointed out, some others, we're digressing in 3 or 4 different directions here. My personal opinion is, I think we have enough information to vote on this motion. And then once a decision is made on that motion, we can decide whether we go with the firm or we go with Clara individually, like we've been doing successfully for the last 50 years.
I don't understand that. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand. You're suggesting that
Suggesting we take a vote on what's on the table. And then we'll know how to go forward from there.
I think I'm suggesting that we not vote.
Table it.
Table it,
Okay.
and in the interim.
Yeah.
Do the due diligence that we just talked about.
I agree with that.
And that is with the assumption, and I think I heard. That if we were to do that through the next 4 weeks. You check everything out on the political side, you come back to us on the short term and the long term. Here's how much it's gonna cost, here's the stormwater, here's how much we think you can get and blow, and do the same thing on the longer term. Then we have that information, we still need to then at the next meeting determine, unless you can make some progress on my third column. Is this the vendor, I hate to use that word when we're talking about a law, but is that the best route to go? We just heard that Naples is looking at the same thing. How many times did we use lobbyists at NCCI that did not just represent us? They represented many others. I certainly understand that flying at the 10,000 feet at the association is not, certainly wouldn't work for us. We would be a
I support
Yeah.
what you said.
grave with salt, sand in it.
I support
So
that
I
as
think
well.
there's a lot of work to be done in between.
My homework.
And then the next meeting, and if you send us information in the interim. And I think that strategy works again, if you tell us that if we have all that information. And have enough to make a decision, we still, from timing perspective. Can put in our application, but that means you'll have to have lined up. If we put in our application, will you, go with this? Is anybody's feathers ruffled on any of the political fronts? With that information, we can vote. I think.
Now, first thing.
Yeah. So, but that implies that we're gonna kind of stick with what we have right now, which is the ad hoc, the project by project,
Not necessarily.
rather than the
Not
the
necessarily.
full service.
I think
Because
it
unless
depends.
somebody comes back with,
I think if Lewis Long Walker does a little bit more due diligence on part two of the $60,000 ask. I mean, I am totally unwilling at this point to say, yeah, take the
Right.
60,000 and
Not
run
more.
and give me what?
Yeah.
And
That's
not
what I'm saying.
only that,
It's
is
just
that
special
the
that-
best
Right.
route to go? Because I'm not sure it is. At least it hasn't been demonstrated here.
Right.
So you could easily do the appropriations piece year one. And maybe it's a longer due diligence on the longer term relationship, because there is something to be said for all being in the same camp. You would have access, we just, again, have a lot of trust with the individuals that represent the organization. You just come through with a big win for us, but we still have fiduciary responsibility, and it's 60,000 for year after year after year.
But this doesn't replace the grant writing, that
No.
we're doing, right? It supplements or complements
It's new
it, right?
dollars, basically,
So,
new dollars you couldn't otherwise get. Maybe they're not new,
Yeah.
but you couldn't
or you
otherwise
get it
get.
faster.
Yeah,
so I'm all for tabling it. I do have a question on the pricing. And, when you came to us with the enabling bill, we saw a number, I forget what that was. It was the same dollar amount, but we could see the benefit because we looked at the existing bill, and then we said there's a lot of holes in this, including the fact that we don't own property. So,
We had a goal.
and we had a goal. This, to Cheryl's point, it's, what am I gonna get out of this? But my question is more specifically. In our engagements like this always priced just with a fixed fee, or considering that the firm has doesn't represent any other airports, and maybe who knows how many hours this is going to be? Would it make more sense to become to come to us with this a billable hours proposal? Or is that not how, again, these type of engagements are pursued?
Yeah, through the chair, the industry standard in lobbying world is a flat fee. Part of it is because it's a value basis. If I can get a meeting with the Speaker of the House, the meeting takes 30 minutes. My billable hour rate at Lewis Long Walker is $525. That meeting with the Speaker of the House is worth way more than half of $525. That's why in the lobbying world, the hourly rate doesn't apply, because it doesn't take into account that value of the relationships to be able to get into those. So
Makes sense.
short answer is, it is not, the industry standard is a flat fee for those clients that do recurring, to give you a little bit of comfort. When I say I would love a long-term relationship, that doesn't mean you can't get out when you're ready to get
I
out.
understand.
Our contract got a 30-day out. And so, if you signed up for a 1-year deal and then month 3, you decided we're pulling the plug, you're out. It doesn't have to be a long-term deal if you're not ready for rent. We're but that's where I always try to get with my clients. A couple other comments I heard, just if you'll give me the leeway, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
We have great relationships with the lobbying firm for the city. We have great relationships with the county lobbyists. As a matter of fact, the county's legislative affairs director is my former employee. We know her intimately. We work with the city's firm. We work with the folks from the county. We work with all their firms. We have great relationships, and there's no reason that there has to be any acrimony or any adversarial positions here. That's the reason I put those other 1, 2, 3, 7 or 8 Palm Beach County districts that have lobbyists, to point out that they wouldn't be doing it if it was creating these problems for them too. So I don't think that would be the case. I mean, my idea, if I were to be honored to be chosen by you all to be your lobbyist, is I would work with them. I would want to bring Capital City Consultants that represents the city on to help with projects. I would try to bring the county, say, hey, this benefits the county and the city. Can we get you all to weigh in and support? I wouldn't be trying to work against them. It just so happened this year on the local bill, the city had a couple of comments. We were able to work through them.
Right. But it was a surprise, and that's my point. We did not anticipate that there would be any issue, and there was, and it was thanks to your relationships and a lot to Clara's relationships that this got through. So I think we just, again, need to do our due diligence.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, a couple of things, because there was a lot that was floated out there. Had a chance to comment.
Yeah.
Something that, a fee to put in your bonnet, and again, not to put pressure, I am not a hard sell guy. But this particular house seat that this airport sits in is very much a swing seat. 2 years ago, it was held by a Democrat. It's currently held by a Republican. It's gonna be, and I know the Democrats like to win it back. I know that the Republicans want to hold it. There's a couple things that go with that. One is, with the Republicans wanting to hold it, I think they would want to give the representative that represents this area as many victories as they could for her to show what she could do for her district. So I could see a scenario where if, and I've not spoken to her the first iota about a project, but I could see where she might get some leadership support for her, not only bills, but appropriations projects, because those are things she can bring home and tout in her reelection. Secondly, because it's a swing seat and we never know how these elections go, I think it would also benefit the airport authority to have someone whose job it is, and that is what I do, is I try to maintain these relationships and build new ones when people get elected. Because this seat does swing, and it's shown that, to perhaps have somebody with that continuity in Tallahassee to look out for your interests and make sure that whoever represents this area understands your issues. And that's one thing that I, propose to Claire, is that, I would help line up site visits out here. I would set up meetings in Tallahassee to introduce you all, to make sure that your elected officials really know who you are and what you do. So those are just a few. I heard the different comments floating out there.
Well, that's good information, and again, I still think that go with the path.
Yeah, I just like to see a little more meat on the
Yeah.
benefit side of this, equation.
Yeah, thank you,
Amy?
good information.
I just also just providing you some information to provide context for this discussion. With respect to appropriations and grants, I just want to make sure that all of y'all. So with the grants, the legislature, and Chris, tell me if I have this wrong, I've done a lot of grant work, not as much with the airport, but quite a bit in other contexts. The legislature defines a grant opportunity and puts a dollar amount, and then you compete within that dollar
Right.
amount, right? When you're talking about an appropriations bill, that is for you to set the price tag.
Right.
And
That's why we
so,
said the separate.
and they find that money elsewhere, so you're not in competition directly in the appropriations context, because it's a one-off. And so it, it doesn't have things like eligibility and matching dollar requirements and all of that kind of stuff necessarily, because you're building your own ticket. So just, I don't know if that, was helpful, but that's the distinction.
Yeah, and that was really Mitch's question.
Any other discussion on, we're looking for a motion here, on tabling this matter
That's my motion.
till the
I second
next. All those in favor?
I
Bruce, thank you, Mr.
All
Lyon.
right, I will work with Claire and gather more information, and I don't know that I can be here in person next month,
Mhm.
but,
Zoom is our friend.
it's back on the agenda. I will be on.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you all.
Moving on, item B, presentation of the Boca Raton Airport Authority's proposed annual operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2024, which is October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. Ms. Butt.
All righty. So as I started to say earlier, this is the time of the year that staff present the proposed operating and capital budgets for the next fiscal year commencing on October 1st. The report included in your packet provides details on the current year budget and current year projected assumptions for next year for both revenue and expense figures. As you know, you really know, we are a conservative body. So we take a conservative approach to budgeting. All new budget requests are analyzed based on existing contracts or planned projects as detailed in the report that you have in front of you. On the revenue side, we're fortunate that most of our revenues come from land leases, and escalations are based on the terms of the leases, typically based on CPI. And we've had this issue, as we've discussed in the past, about our being conservative, but it works for us. However, the two revenue sources, fuel flow fees, customs clearing fees, are harder to predict. As Clara will report, we're assuming some decreases in both revenue sources in the coming year, based on some potential temporary disruptions due to construction activities. However, we still expect to have a positive net operating income and an increase in the authority's net position at the end of the budget year. I have reviewed all these details with Ms. Bennett and have really no additional comments at this time. So Clara's going to take us through it and answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Ms. Bennett?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Bud. As you are aware, the operating budget that we present is in line with our strategic plan. We talked a little bit about the strategic plan that was completed in 2020, which included the containment systems as a long-term opportunity for us to maximize the land development opportunities here at the airport. So our existing strategic initiatives identified through the strategic planning process include 5 different initiatives. Overarching goals, including planning for financial resiliency, preserving and improving infrastructure, developing land use policies and practice that enhance the value of the airport for both our tenants and the local community, promote the airport's value to the community and contribution to the regional economy, and shape our organization. As you know, we're a very small organization. There's 8.5 total FTEs. The 0.5 is critical, our intern. And so we run a very lean machine here, but with that, we want to make sure that all of our employees have access to professional development opportunities and can continue to bring value to the organization. 2023 was another busy year, and the report does include details on the kind of the larger scale initiatives that we took on in the current year and gives you a status update. But just as a quick reminder, some of the bigger initiatives we just talked about, amending the BRAA enabling bill. We did a lot of community outreach focusing on pilots, local community, and our legislators throughout the year. We continued our collaboration with Palm Beach County High Schools, particularly through the relationship with West Boca High School and their aviation academy, which we're really excited about. SMS implementation got kicked off. In fact, next week, starting Monday, is safety week at the airport. And so we hope to engage with our tenants and get information to them about our safety initiatives. We have a week-long of activities planned, and maybe some of you might have the opportunity to participate in some of those as well. We constructed a lot of projects, or planned or designed about $5.6 million in grant in projects, with about 4.5 million of that coming from grant sources. Oh, and last but not least, we initiated the design build process for the airport observation area. So we're very excited about that project. In terms of our overall air traffic activity, the activity remained relatively the same from 2021 and 2022. And you see the number as of June 2023. Of course, we're into the slow season now. We do expect that number to come back equalizing around the 80,000 figure as we get into our busy season in the fall. Total gallons of fuel sold also decreased slightly in 2022. The little green line that you see up on the top of the chart that represents avgas, everything else is Jet A. So obviously, most of the activity, the fuel sold here is gallons of jet fuel. U.S. Customs did really well, rebounded quite well after the stay-in-place orders and the international travel restrictions from COVID. So we actually saw an increase in activity at Customs in 2022 compared with 2021. In fact, May the 31st was the 5th anniversary, you'll recall, of the facility. And we are proud to have cleared over 8,000 aircraft, 37,000 passengers arriving from 70 different countries in that 5-year period. In terms of our proposed budget, as Ms. Bud mentioned, we're very fortunate that we have a stable source of revenue. 2/3 of our revenue come from our contractual land ground leases. These are long-term ground leases with our tenants, Atlantic Aviation, Signature, Premier Aviation, Boca Aircraft Owners, and the 3 non-aeronautical lessees on the property. Fuel flow fees, which are derived from the delivery of fuel to the to FBOs 5% per gallon. The wholesale price makes up the next large number, and then customs fees and other revenue, which include rental cars and other miscellaneous charges that we have, is about 1%. So overall, our proposed budget on the revenue side, as Ms. Bud mentioned, we budget very conservatively because it's hard to predict what will happen with fuel, which is the next biggest source of revenue for the airport authority. Fuel revenue is dependent on both volume of gallons as well as price per gallon, because it's a percentage of that price. So it's hard to predict. So based on some of the what we think will be some of the temporary interruptions based on Atlantic Aviation's construction, we are budgeting for a decrease in fuel revenue, but we hope that we can beat that. But we just want to, again, be very conservative in our assumptions, similarly with customs facility revenue. So our total operating revenue budget for next year is approximately 6.5 million, which is a decrease of about 5.5% from current year projected. We also have non-operating revenue from interest as well as operating grants, which total about $1 million. So together, both sources are in the $7.7 million range. Our expenses, we do have some increases in expenses. I mentioned we're a small but mighty team. We would like to, and the budget does include a request for a new FTE to assist in the financial arena at the airport. We have one individual who is solely responsible for all of the finance and accounting and control and auditing. So we'd like to have some support in that area. Professional services also increases as a result of increased potential legal fees in our litigation situation that you're aware of. We do have a decrease that's proposed in airport operations. Travis runs a tight ship, and this year we don't need to repave or do the runway rubber removal and the runway restriping. So marketing and special events also includes of course, the 75th anniversary celebration. So that's why you see a little bit of an uptick there. So overall, total operating expenses are budgeted at about 5.9 million, which is a 15.9% increase compared with current year budget, and about a 21.5% increase compared with current year projected. The budget also includes 2 pieces of equipment, our famous incinerator. I joke that if we fail to include it in one budget year, that will be the budget year that we do need to have it. So this is I think our 3rd year in a row of including the incinerator in the budget as a bucket of money should we need to replace it. There's also a request for a pressure washer to take care of our facilities, this building, customs, the tower, the new observation areas, etc. So that totals $72,000. We talked a little bit about the construction projects. These 2 projects are currently under design. The airport service road rehabilitation, that's the road that you see out here that allows us access to the airfield as well as to the tower. And then the corresponding stormwater and wildlife improvements, those are currently under design. We will be working with the FAA for our federal match, which will be quite significant. It's 90% of both of these projects through a pre-application process in the fall. Then the design, when the design is complete, the project will be advertised, and we hope to have good bids in hand in the spring for the actual application. Unlike the state, the federal program, but awards to a contract. So that helps quite a bit because of so many fluctuations that you've seen in budgeted projects versus actual contract amounts when we went through the bidding process. So 3.6 million from FAA, our budgeted 200,000 from FDOT and the Airport Authority respectively, for total 4 million in our capital outlay. So in summary, if you look at our projected revenues, our budgeted revenues minus expenses, we have an operating income before depreciation of 627,000. We add in depreciation, the non-operating revenue, capital outlays, and the $3.8 million in the federal reimbursement, in state reimbursement for those two construction projects. Our change in that position is approximately $2.2 million at the end of the year. So with that, and with concurrence from our Secretary Treasurer, Airport Management, and the Treasurer recommend authorize resolution 082223, authorizing the fiscal 2024 operating and capital budgets.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Nobles.
I had mentioned this to Clara when we reviewed the budget. My only comment is I think the decrease in fuel flow revenue is aggressive. It nearly 25%. And how much does Atlantic do in total now, roughly?
They're about 2/3 of the total, right, Rob?
And then the signature is
It's still the
the other
30%. That's roughly
30%. So seemingly they're still going to be contributing everything that they contribute, and maybe then some if it, some people may divert to signature from Atlantic, so we may pick it up in another pocket. And then, I mean, if you convert that, and even if you said signature was still going to do only 100% of what they did last year, that in actuality is saying that Atlantic's going to go down probably like 40%. And is that, it just seems aggressive is my only, comment.
I think you're right, but we really don't know what's going to happen during this construction project. So in some ways massive and very complete, in other ways they'll stay in business, obviously.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is, and I'm not contradicting you.
Right.
I think Clara was smart in taking a more investor approach and doing it smile afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that as
Yeah.
long as we, we've always been conservative with our budgeting and we're sticking to that and that's fine. I just felt compelled to make that comment
Because this is such an unknown what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
We budgeted 1.1 and we realized 1.4. I mean, if you feel like it's more appropriate for us to do a more shallow decrease, we can add a few 100,000 back in. There's enough in the bottom line to meet any, fluctuations. So
I guess my question is, yes, if Atlantic is unable to pump, why wouldn't they go to signature as opposed to going elsewhere off field?
I think for signature, the challenge is going to be capacity. They have such a small FBO. They were already pretty taxed as far as capability of handling new clients. And speaking with some of the tenants who will be temporarily displaced, they are hoping not to be displaced at all. So for example, I spoke with Prevera today. Their goal is that Atlantic can realize a phasing plan where they can continue to operate out of the current hangar while the new hangars, the old hangars are being demolished and new hangars are being constructed, and that they could still have a path to get in and out of their existing facility. So if that is the case, they will have enough space to continue to park their airplanes here and house their airplanes here and continue to buy fuel here. if that phasing plan is not realized, then they will be putting the aircraft at either Palm Beach or Fort Lauderdale. This is what we heard from
Okay.
Prevera.
So but they're also gonna replace the fuel field too, right? Or the fuel
Correct.
farm, whatever they call it. So
Right.
Won't that stop fuel flow, period? Just because
They,
it has to
the,
close down for a little while.
they will, the intent as of right now is to have both of them running at the same time until the one can be fully certified and fully, so that there will not be a disruption. The new location,
It's gonna be
the
next
new
year.
farm is in a separate location that allows them to keep the old farm continuing
Understood.
in operation.
Okay, I was like.
Like I said, I think we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And again, we looked at that too, and I think it seems like a lot, because the odds are we will beat it. In talking with Atlantis, we did talk to Atlantic. They're not projecting any decrease in their sales for next year. So they're pretty confident that they'll continue to deliver, their revenue of fuel sales. So if you would like us to amend it, we can do that, and or we can leave it as is, and like you said, be pleasantly surprised next year.
Pete, did you have anything?
What is the capacity of their fuel trucks?
It varies. They have a couple different sizes. I believe the Abgas truck is. What is that one, Matt? 750, and their largest truck is about.
The new large truck, I believe, is about 7,000, they have a pair of 5,000 fuel.
I was gonna say 7,000 or
The
8,000.
fuel farms existing is somewhere in the neighborhood.
60,000.
Right.
Jet, another 10,000.
Lot of gas.
Yeah.
60 jet, 30 Abgas. The new one will be 90,000 gallons jet, and I believe 15,000 Abgas.
That's good.
I mean, I would just as soon be pleasantly surprised or whatever term you use now. I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
We can, and this is, Mr. Nobles, this is why we bring it to you in August, because we still have an opportunity to make changes if needed, in the September meeting, and have the budget adopted by October 1, so.
So we have a motion and a second
So moved.
to approve the 2024 operating and capital budgets.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Item 10, authority board member requests and reports. So let's chat for a moment about the board member assignments. As is customary for the board, each board member is assigned as a liaison to various new projects on our ongoing airport programs each year. These assignments are based upon areas of expertise and interest expressed by individual board members. This year's assignments are in your agenda packet, as you can see there, and I hope they are to everyone's satisfaction. If there are any comments or concerns, we can discuss the assignments. Otherwise, I know that each of us will fulfill our roles fully in full support of the staff and the airport's various initiatives. Item number 11, public comments. Any public comment, Ms. Bennett?
No, sir.
Any other business, number 12? Any other business to come before the board? Ms. Bolton?
Thank you. It was part of the consent agenda and I didn't ask to be pulled because I just had one comment. I'd like to go back and touch upon it. It has to do with the noise abatement reports that we get. And last meeting, I questioned all the reports were coming from Wilmington or whatever.
Wimbledon Heights.
Thank you.
Phyllis.
And whether or not these people had impact windows. Well, I went back and looked, and when their homes were all built, they did not have impact windows. None of those had impact windows. Had they put them in? I don't know. So the fact that an impact window will reduce your noise level by at least 50%. I think it's a question we should ask these people when they keep pushing the button. Do you have impact windows? I'd be curious to know. And you say, well, okay, well, they sometimes they open their windows and doors. It's that in the past that's been true, but the last summer and the last year, we've not had that. In fact, I can count on 3 hands how many times I've opened my windows and doors.
3 hands
over
or
the
3
past-
fingers?
Well,
Gene?
What are you thoughts about it?
Plus, it could help protect against hurricanes and get you a decrease on your homeowner.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so I just point that out, Go ahead.
And going back years ago, when you were running the show and you had me doing the noise thing,
Yeah,
one of the things of the homes in the expanded range in those.
We did that.
was Retrofitting.
Yes,
with
we
impact
did.
window. The
Yes, we did.
laminated windows cut out tremendous amount of noise.
absolutely.
Yeah, in fact, with the sound insulation program that the airport authority did, it was really groundbreaking because at the other airport where I worked, there was resistance from the community to do the sound insulation because they felt that we had more of an outdoor lifestyle and that it wouldn't really be beneficial. And yet
Yeah.
Boca did it right up the road. So something to be
Good
proud
point.
of.
Any other board member comments? Seeing none, the next meeting is scheduled for September 20th, 2023 at 5 p.m. I do understand that there is a need possibly to change the October meeting.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to discuss that now?
Yes, I think we have a couple of board members who have indicated conflict for the October meeting. I know Ms. Petrick has a conflict for that meeting as well. And I have been asked to participate and speak at the National Business Aviation Association, which is also that week. So if the board would be amenable to moving the meeting to the following week, the following Wednesday,
25th.
the 25th. If that works for you,
I'm
then we
okay.
can do
And
that.
that's Wednesday, October
25th.
25th at 5 p.m.
Correct.
Looks okay to me.
I'm okay.
All clear? Gene, how are you? looking?
So far, I'm good.
So, all right, there we go.
Thank you.
So the October board meeting would be Wednesday, October 25th at 5 p.m. But before that, we'll meet September 20th here. Asking for a motion to adjourn and a second.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Good job, Mr. Tucker.
Good job.